This is the end of racism. Black intelligence, black scholarship, black mystics, black imams, black metaphysicians. I'm going to suggest to you what racism is, a theory for racism, its origins, how it's kept alive, and exactly how you can break racism with knowledge. So racism essentially, fundamentally, I'm developing a theory for this, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I'm working on the proof level of this theory, is a caste system. It is a belief system that it's a mental belief system that is iterated to you since you start school. So school is what teaches racism essentially. Before school, you're not racist. If you have black and white kids just playing around, no schooling from their parents or anything, nobody's going to be racist. But when they go to school, or they are trained by their parents when they're children, from the schooling system, they are taught systemic racism. We are going to go way beyond critical race theory. We are going to go to the psycho-spiritual mental level, because thought comes before action. Thought leads to action. So, in the colonial times, white people, we are generalizing now when we are talking, went to Africa and other places, took black slaves, often from farmer tribes. So there were farmer tribes, scholarly tribes. Those white people, the colonizers, we are not talking about all white people. There are no races here. You understand what I'm trying to say here. We're just talking in general terms. Did not take scholarly black people or aristocratic or royal black people as slaves. They took the lower classes, not lower classes, I don't believe in that kind of thing, but say farmers. And if you are a tribe that has farmed for 1,000 years, you're going to be very fit, very strong, right? You're not going to be maybe the people who memorize Quran at age 7, like there are people in Africa who do. So they took these black slaves as from farmer classes to do heavy labor, put them in the lowest class in society, and then above them you had the white working class, then you have middle class and upper class, which is basically the aristocratic class or nobles and royalty. Now the core here is that above the upper class you have the thought leaders, the philosophers, the great Western philosophers that the entire schooling system and Western knowledge center is based around. And you had these white scholars like Jung, Adam Smith. Adam Smith is known as the father of capitalism. Have you ever read Adam Smith? Did you know that Adam Smith was a racist? Yeah. Wealth of Nations. They say that this book is what the entire field of economics is based on. I have a master's degree in financial economics, alhamdulillah. Let's read what Adam Smith said. And the inland parts of Africa, also Asia, north of Euxine, Caspian Sea, ancient Scythia, Tartar, Siberia. So the inland parts of Africa seem to in all ages of the world have been in same barbaric and uncivilized state. So Adam Smith thinks that inland Africa is uncivilized and it has always been uncivilized. Well, he didn't know anything about ancient Kemet or Mansa Musa or Timbuktu or African scholarship in the Islamic age of the Moors. But he lied. And since Adam Smith was the highest during that time, 200 plus years ago, nobody could argue with him because he was the thought leader, right? So when he teaches racism, he will teach this kind of wealth of nations, neoclassical theory to all of the rulers in Europe and all of the upper class, all of the nobles. So the noble finance class in Europe is trained in Adam Smith, who was a racist. Now, is it then strange that they also are racist? Carl Jung is considered one of the fathers of modern psychology. Jordan Peterson often calls Carl Jung like a genius. Right? Jordan Peterson often calls Carl Jung like a genius, right? So Carl Jung, Alfred Adler, and Sigmund Freud are considered the fathers of psychology. So now we have dealt with Western philosophy. Father of economics, now we talk father of psychology. Let's read what Carl Jung wrote in this book, Psychology of the Unconscious, which is scholarly selected an important piece of literature for Western philosophy. We know that the lower races, like the Negroes, look upon locomotive as an animal and call the drawers on the table the child of the table. I quote Carl Jung, that Jordan Peterson loves. We know too that the lower races like the Negroes. So Carl Jung taught that Negroes are lower races. So the highest in the thought leadership in Western philosophy that your entire schooling is based on were racists. They taught racism, they wrote racist stuff in their big works that are selected as the scholarly important for Western civilization. Is it then strange that the politicians, the business leaders, the rulers who come from the best schools, who study Carl Jung and Adam Smith, are racist? It's not, because it starts already in the schooling system. And then when you keep on iterating this kind of message, this kind of belief system over and over again, just like a mantra or a zikir or a positive affirmation works, black people inferior, black people lower race, black people lower race. You hear this since you're 7 years old until you're 19. So for 12 years of schooling, you hear this subconscious, subtly implemented message. Before it was more obvious, now it's more subtle. Of course, you're going to have belief systems subconsciously in your mind that make you believe that black people are inferior and white people are superior. And this belief system, therefore, is to a large degree unconscious in black people and white people. And you keep this kind of societal structure alive, where Africa today is the poorest part of the world, even if it has the most resources. Black people in Africa self-hate a lot. That's the civil war in Rwanda. And they keep on looking up to white people for help for them. And white people, like in ex-colonizer countries in Europe, talk down and look down on black people and constantly speak to black people a little bit like they're inferior, like they do to me in school. When I grew up in a racist school in Sweden, I was quicker than everyone, but everyone kept on talking down to me because this is the way they're indoctrinated. And also when I work in finance, a little bit also here in Netherlands, always this talking down to you. So this is the belief system of racism. It comes from Western academia, it's taught in schools, and it is put on the conscious and unconscious part of the mind. So that's why if you try to point out to white people that they are racist, it's not much use, because they are indoctrinated into these kinds of beliefs since they were children. And it's subconscious. And you, as a black person, is also indoctrinated into thinking that you're inferior. So it can be very subconscious in black people as well. That's why black people tend to hate me for being knowledgeable or intellectual, because they are subconsciously so deeply indoctrinated from Smith, Jung, other thought leaders in Western philosophy, that they are inferior and black people shouldn't be, scholarly or something like that. And that keeps this race-based structure alive. And people like Jordan Peterson, therefore, are the most dangerous systemic racists, because Jordan Peterson is a thought leader. That's why I talk about him a lot. He praises Jung, and Jung called lower races like the Negroes. So Jung tried to define a psyche of Negroes, which is a lower race. And Jordan Peterson lifts him up and therefore keeps these kinds of belief systems alive. Now, if you understand this, and you can prove this and see this very clearly, you understand that the cure of racism is knowledge. Just like when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was given the Quran, the first command was Iqra, read. So I will say, like Allah said to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the first revelation in Quran al-Kareem was read. Brother, read. Black man, read. Black woman, read. Study. If you're on this channel and you're black, you have to have a bachelor degree. If you're on this channel and you're black, at least try to get a bachelor degree. If you cannot, alhamdulillah, try to study as much as you can. And by the way, this racist system exists in Islam as well, with the white Arabs, right? The white Arabs are supposed to be the scholarly class, right? Mufti Menk and Hamza Yusuf and these kinds of people. Hamza Yusuf is even a convert. Ain't nothing that he wrote that is more wise than, for example, this. Stations of the Religion by Sayyidina Ibrahim Niasse, or Attainments of Hope by Sayyidina Ahmed Tijani, or Masalik al-Jinnan by Serin Tuba. Nothing that the Arab scholars can write that is closer to this, because Allah has ordained it like this. But this is also this white Arabs supposed to be the one who know Islam, and the black people are supposed to be the lower class who look up to the Arabs. This is the antidote. This is the cure. This is the miracle by Allah. May Allah bless these wise African black scholars from different parts of the African diaspora. Everyone on my channel must read at least one book of one of these wise men. The top row would be scholars. Dr. Ivan van Sertima proved that Africans smelted steel 1,200 years ago. Director Hampate Ba from the Ba lineage says, I'm also a Ba. Ba is royal Fulas. He proved that Fulas descended from North Africa by looking at the paintings in the walls and stuff like this. Sheikh Anta Diop proved that civilization came from Africa. Sheikh Anta Diop proved that the Kemetic people, the ancient Egyptians, were black. Sheikh Anta Diop went to Egypt. He got a part of the mummy, the cloth of the mummy, went and tested the DNA and saw that it was melanin. The mummy, it was a black man. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, how much have he not done in critical race theory and debated? Dr. Michael Eric Dyson destroyed Jordan Peterson in the debate. He destroyed him. Professor Usman Kane, he proved the literal tradition of West Africans, that Fula Wolof was written in Arabic. May Allah bless these men. And also spiritually, because we have to deal with Islamic racism also, and this Arabism in Islam, that Arab people, they always come to my channel and talk down to me. But in the future, Allah is going to turn it around on them so that white Arabs have to learn Islam from black Islamic scholars. Setting Tuba, 1,600 books in classical Arabic, they all rhyme. You read his books, they are so powerful that your spirit explodes. And his qasides are so powerful that they throw out the jinn from your room. There is nobody in Islamic history who has written anything close to Setting Tuba after Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sayyidina Ibrahim spread the Tijani Tariqah to hundreds of millions of Africans. Honorable Elijah Muhammad revolutionized the way we think about Islam and the way we think about the origins of man. These two books by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Carl Jung can't write like this. No Arab scholar in Islam can write like this. This book predicts stuff that happens in America today. This was written 50, 60 years ago. It predicts stuff that happens in America today. This is pure wisdom. Pure wisdom. So these scholars break this structure of a white scholarly elite that teach that white are superior and black are inferior. There are no races. To black people, study our beautiful scholars and religious teachers, because black people are also spiritual people, and you need to break free from the colonization and the inferiority complex that is taught in religion. There are also very deep African spiritual thinkers like Reverend Phil Valentine and so on. There are so many people I'm not included here. And if you are white and you relate to this, you're white, you're Caucasian, you're Arab, etc., study, alhamdulillah. If it benefits you, take it. Knowledge belongs to nobody. There are no races. It is just a belief system to keep some people poor and some people in a benefited, privileged position. May Allah bless us all. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.